So I've been running into a bit of a problem lately, and by lately I mean maybe this year, last year, probably before that even. Hell if I know, dude. And the problem is, I mentally have too many projects on my mind. Like, I have all these things that I want to be working on, all these things I want to be doing and be involved with, and whatever, but not nearly the amount of time to actually commit to any of them, or in some cases, barely enough time to even commit to one. These things are more or less like animating, there's a webcomic, there's actually two webcomics I want to work on. I've been wanting to learn Unity to maybe like make my own little like games and whatnot, which as an extension of that, maybe wanting to learn Blender. I already kind of know Autodesk Maya to an extent, but you gotta pay for that shit, my guy, and Blender's free, hell yeah. There's that. I would also like to learn languages, because I think just being multilingual is something that's really cool, and I look up to people who can do that sort of thing when there's just me and my English ass, and I can't do much of anything else. But I have been learning Japanese, dabbled in Chinese, looked into a bit of French. I peeked at Russian and looked at their alphabet, and that's as far as I got there. I've been wanting to make gaming videos as well, sort of like the Alexaria videos that I've thrown about, the 3 clearing the library, whatever's. I have a 4th one that I have completely filmed out. It was going to be an Outer Wilds video, which is great. Outer Wilds is amazing. If you haven't played it yet, go do it right this instant. I'm no longer asking. But everything is put up. All I have to do is actually just make a script and make it. But there's all this other stuff I want to do first, which is the problem. There's those gaming videos. There's videos like this, which, granted, these take up very little time to make, because they are going to be very much not scripted. They're just going to be on the spot. Just whatever happens, happens. Figure it out as we go. But it's like I want to do all that, and then already like spending time with friends, just doing stupid little games. Like we've been doing a bunch of Repo lately, which has been an absolute blast. And then just maintaining current activity things that I'm in, like D&D. I've been helping my mom with a couple things here and there, and just... it's a lot. There's all these things I want to do, and it's like... I'm just committing to too much. And in the past I've done this as well, and I found the need to dial it back a bit. Where in the past it was sort of... I was raiding in both Classic WoW and in Dragonflight. Classic WoW was very much casual. We would just show up, shoot the shit for 3 hours, and kill what we can. And it was great. I absolutely loved that. And then we started losing people and getting more people, and then they were a bit more... they cared a bit more. So, like... I don't know, it just got stressful, and eventually people were all about having all the add-ons like details, DBM, and all this shit, and I was just running around with nothing because I didn't give a shit. And it became not fun very quickly, so I left. I stopped. And I had a Dragonflight group, which was also very much a casual group. It was just like a bunch of friends getting together and kind of the same shit. We just showed up, shoot the shit, and I think we only went for 2 hours in that group. And we just did like the normal raid, and we got maybe 4 bosses in, which, even though we didn't even get very far, like we didn't even finish, like it was still a good time. I had a lot of fun with that. But both those things ended, whereas with Classic, I left, and Dragonflight, we just kept losing people, and the person that was running it was getting very stressed out because of it, so we eventually had to stop, which was unfortunate for them, but also probably for the best for them, because it was very much taking a toll upon them mentally. Um, but I found I need to dial things back, and it's really unfortunate being in this sort of creative space where there's all these things I want to do and having to bench certain ideas because it's just not realistic in the free time I have to do them. Like, learning Unity and Blender I've kind of shelved for now. Maybe if I have more free time in the future we'll look into it, but in like the month or two I spent looking into that, it was like, I realized there's a lot I don't know. And while I learned a lot in those little stints of time I worked on it, I still have no idea what the hell I'm doing, man. Coding is just a beast in itself. It's crazy. Those have been shelved. Languages have kind of been shelved. It's like, I'm lucky if I spend maybe like 5-10 minutes a day on them. It's bad. The gaming videos have all but been shelved because right now all I want to do is just work on animations. Like, I have all these ideas for animations, which even then, like, animating in itself, like, needs to be dialed back because I have ideas for, like, easily probably like 30 of them. Just like anime openings and endings for like our D&D campaigns, just really nerdy shit. And the rate that it takes me to make them is like, I get ideas for them faster than I'm making them. And when I make them, I want them to be as good as they can possibly be. Like, I want them to look like almost near professional to some extent. In my mind, at least. I know my art is not up to par with being professional by any means, but like, more just like, they're lined, they're colored, shaded, little highlights here and there, we have little effects when we can, and just like really, like at the time of making it, it's like one of the best things that I can make. Like, I had a Curse of Strahd video, and like when I made that, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever made. And then I worked on an intro for Storm King's Thunder, and I made that, and I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever made. And then now I'm working on an intro to our Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus campaign. And looking at it every now and again, I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever made. And every now and again, I've thought about dialing even that back to an extent. Like, maybe we just do like rough animations, just very rough backgrounds, and call it a day, and like that's good enough for me. But and maybe in the future that'll change, but at the moment I'm like, I don't want to give up on like making the best thing that I possibly can, whereas like each video I upload is literally like the best possible thing I can make within that moment, and each of them just compounding upon themselves and getting better and better, and it's just really nice to see this sort of progress as I go along. It's great. And it's just a problem that I can't do all these things that I want to, and it's annoying, but it's oddly enough kind of a nice problem to have. It's much better than the alternative that I had like maybe 4-6 years ago, where I had so much free time. Like, I had so much that I didn't know what to do with, but I was very much in a different headspace, where it was like, not so much feeling like ambitious to do all these things, like wanting to just do everything all at once, all the time, but having like no ambitions, being depressed and sad and not wanting to do anything. And that's a shitty place to be in, to just put it how it is. This is a much better place to be in mentally. It sucks. It's horrible. I hate it. It's atrocious, really. Absolutely atrocious. But it's much better than the alternative. 100%. 100. Why did I... Fellas. But even with dialing it back, like, a little bit here and there, like, it's dumb. Because, like, I'll still get frustrated with myself very often. Because throughout the week, like, having, like, D&D, helping my mom with various things, and having these other responsibilities that I do, like, every, like, week or so, like, hanging out with girlfriend, watching stuff with them. We've been watching Castlevania lately. It's been great. Been playing Divinity 2, Original Sin. It's been great. But, it's been in, like, in the free time that I get aside from those things, it's often very frustrating for me as well, because I get to doing other things. Like, I'll be wanting to work on the animation per se, and then I'll, like, open it up and start working on it for a bit, but say, like, an hour into it, then suddenly it's like, look at this game we could be doing, what about this other thing we could be doing? And it's like, suddenly that's all I can think about, and animation progress gets drawn to a halt, and we have to go do something else for a bit. But then while I'm doing something else, I will be annoyed with myself for being like, we should really be working on the animation right now, and just this weird thing of, like, having this mental, like, restrictions and stuff upon myself, and if I'm not, like, adhering to that and using my time quote-unquote, like, effectively, it's just wasted. Which is something I definitely need to get better about. It's definitely something I need to unlearn very quickly, because it's taking a toll on my days off that I get. It's not horrible by any means, but it's not great. It's... And every now and again I think about, like, maybe we should just take, like, a day to just rest and just not worry about it. And I do every now and again, to the best of my ability, just be like, hey, so, like, today we're just gonna do whatever we feel like, whatever sounds fun at the moment, and we're just not gonna worry about it, we're just not gonna stress about it. And we try our best, and yet it still keeps coming back, where I just feel like I'm not using my time effectively because I don't have a lot of it, and if I'm not using all of it to its greatest potential, then what's the point? It's dumb. It's really stupid. And I just need to figure something out. At the moment, it's just like, hey, we'll just focus on one thing at a time with, like... I jokingly say ADHD, but I have not been at all, like, diagnosed with anything. But just, like, the whole thought process of, like, hey, there's a couple months I'm just gonna hyper-focus on this. Like, hey, for a couple months I'm gonna do Unity and nothing else. For a couple months I'm gonna make gaming videos and nothing else. And then for a couple months we're gonna do animating and nothing else. And it's just... every couple, like, months, it seems like this focus shifts. And that's all I want to do, and everything else doesn't matter anymore. And right now we're in the animating phase, and I'm hoping we stay here for a good long while, but also I know realistically it's probably not going to happen. It's just going to, like, go into something else for a while, and it's interesting. Why did we go into that accent, my guy? But no, I don't know if I really have much else to add to this at the moment. I guess ultimately I'm also curious if other people that are in the creative, like, space, atmosphere, whatever you would call it, also run into this problem where just, like, you have all these things on your mind, like all these art projects, you want to work on, like, art and do other stuff, writing, and just there's not nearly enough time between work and, like, other responsibilities to work on it in a timely fashion. And I guess in my case, it's kind of a bit accentuated because the things I'm wanting to get involved in are very time-consuming. Animating is not a fast process. Making a webcomic is a very slow process as well. Learning Unity to make a game is very much not a quick process. It's like everything I want to do takes a lot of time and effort, and a lot of days I don't have either of those. I get back home and all I want to do is sleep, and I will take a nap and I'll be like, hey, this is gonna be 2 hours, and then I wake up 3 hours later and I'm like, shit. It sucks. And I guess ultimately I'm just curious if there's other people that kind of experience the same thing. There's not really like an overarching theme here, it's just as if to like have some like ending conclusion of just like, this is how I fix this and whatnot. There's really not. That's not how this goes. That's not how any of this goes, actually. It's just, it's something. I'd like to voice my opinions every now and again. Throw them into the void. Maybe someone will listen every now and again. We'll see. But for now, I think that's all I really have. Uh-huh. Bye.